Hello again, fourth year students. As I told you that there is a second video talking about more points or notes, in fact, concerning the subject negation in English. In this video, we are going to talk about more than one point, and in fact, these are important points. That's why I want you to pay attention to them. The first point or important note is related or is called negative inversion. So what does it mean, negative inversion? When negative agents are made initial, what does this mean? It means that the negative forms that you are using to negate your sentence, okay, when they are put at the beginning of the sentence, when they are put initially in the sentence, what will happen? There is inversion of subject and operator. What does this mean? It means that the operator will be placed before of the subject because of the effect of this initial positioning of the negative agent. Is it clear? So again, when we put the word that changes the sentence into negative at the beginning of the sentence, here there will be, or there will happen another change in the structure of the sentence. What is this change? This change is represented in putting the operator before the subject. So if you have an operator in the sentence, all you need to do is to change the positions of the operator and the subject. Put or make the operator precede your subject. If you don't, as we have learned before, that you can use one of these dummy auxiliaries, do or does or did, according to the tense and the subject of your sentence. Okay? For example, in this sentence, Jim has never tried that. So here in this sentence, we are making it negative by using the adverb of negation, which is never. So when I want to put never at the beginning for the purpose of emphasis, okay, when I want to emphasize the negation, so here I am going to put never initially in the sentence. After I put in never at the beginning of the sentence, I should also change the structure of the sentence. Put the operator before the subject. In this sentence, I already have an operator, which is has. So all I need to do is put has and then the subject Jim. The sentence will become, never has Jim tried that. Okay? Another example, we have seen the results nowhere clearly. So this sentence is negative or is made negative by using a negation agent, an adverb of negation, which is nowhere. So when I want to put nowhere at the beginning in order to put an emphasis on it, I am doing another change in the structure of the sentence, which is putting the operator before the subject. So the sentence becomes, nowhere have we seen the results clearly. In these two examples, we do not have a problem with the structure of the sentence because we already have an operator. But if suppose that you have a sentence with no operator, no auxiliary, so here in this case you have to use one of the dummy auxiliaries or operators we talked about, do or does or did. Suppose that your verb is your main verb is a verb to be. So again, here you are going to put the verb to be itself before the subject, although here the verb to be is what is the main verb. So please pay attention to this important note about putting the negative element at the beginning of the sentence. Another important note is related to the use of the non-assertive forms. So once you are using negation at the beginning of the sentence, or you are negating your verb, so all the non-assertive forms that come after the negative word should be changed into non-assertive. Whatever numbers that you are of assertive words you are having in your sentence. Okay, so here they say that if a clause contains a negative element, it is usually negative throughout, from the occurrence of the negative word to the end. or at least until the beginning of a final agent. This means that after a negative, the non-assertive forms must normally be used in the place of every assertive form that would have occurred in the corresponding positive clause. To make this clear, let us examine the following sentences. I have already traveled somewhere by air. The sentence is affirmative or positive, and you see here we have two assertive forms have been used, already and somewhere. So if I want to change this sentence into negative by negating the verb, so here these two forms, already and somewhere, are going to appear in the sentence after not. So this means that both of them should be changed into what? Into non-assertive. Although they are two, but we have to change them both of them into what? Non-assertive forms. So the sentence in the negative becomes I haven't traveled anywhere by air yet. So in the positive sentence we have two assertive forms. In the negative sentence we also have two non-assertive forms. Another examples, he sometimes says something to both of us. In this sentence we have, it is affirmative and it uses three assertive forms: sometimes, something, and both. So when we change this sentence into negative, we are going to say, he didn't ever say anything to either of us. You see, we have three assertive forms in the affirmative sentence, and on the opposite side, we have also three non-assertive forms in the negative sentence. Is it clear? So this point, you have also to pay attention to this point. Whatever number of assertive forms in the positive sentence, you have to change them into what? Non-assertive form when you change your sentence into negative. Another note related to this point, the non-assertive forms even occur in positive subordinate clauses following a negative in the main clause. So here you are going to see that we are having a complex sentence of two clauses, main clause and subordinate clause. The negative word appears in the main clause, while the subordinate clause is what is positive, does not have not. Okay, but still the influence of not is going to be, or because of there is not at the beginning of the sentence, the non-assertive forms are also used in the subordinate clause. For example, nobody has promised that any of you will be released yet. This sentence has two clauses. The first clause, which is the main clause, is nobody has promised. The subordinate clause, which is that clause, is that any of you will be released yet. Okay, so the first sentence is negative by using nobody. The subject itself is negative by using the indefinite pronoun nobody. Okay, now if we come to the subordinate clause, which is that clause, you see it is not negative. There is no word that refers to negation. Okay, even the verb itself is positive, will be released. But you see, in the subordinate clause, there are two non-assertive forms have been used, any and yet. Okay, why do we use here non-assertive forms in this clause although it is positive? Because of the effect of the negative word that is found in the main clause. Okay, another important note is it's called double negation. So when you have two negative forms occur in the same clause, the meaning is positive. Okay, so the structure is negative, but the meaning is what? Positive. For example, I can't not obey. Here we are negating this sentence by using not two times. In the first time we are shortening it and attaching it to the auxiliary can, and then we are using it in its full form to negate the verb. So here the verb has been negated two times by not. So this is called double negation. Okay, so double negation means, or the meaning of the sentence makes the meaning of the sentence positive. So the meaning is I have to obey. You see, the meaning is what? Is positive. Again, another sentence, not many people have nowhere to live. Not many people have nowhere to live. Here we are negating the sentence by using two adverbs of negation. Not at the beginning of the sentence and then nowhere. Okay, so here not and nowhere, they are called double negation. So what does it mean? What does the sentence mean? It means some people have somewhere to live. So you see, the meaning of the sentence is positive because of the double negation. Finally, there are some adverbs and determiners of negation. What are these adverbs or negate and determiners? We are going to know something about them here. So there are several words in English which are negative in meaning but not in appearance. So in their form, they are not negative. They do not have no or not in their structure. Okay, but in their meaning, they are what? They are negative. So when we use them in a sentence, we are going to deal with this sentence as what? As if it is a negative sentence. Is it clear? For example, seldom and rarely. These two words are adverbs and they mean not often. Scarcely and hardly. Again, these are adverbs. They mean almost not or almost no. Little and few. These are determiners or adverbs meaning not much. Little means not much and few means not many. Okay? And I want you here to pay attention that they are different from a little. Little is different from a little. And few is different from a few. Okay, little is negative while a little is positive. Few is negative while a few is positive. Is it clear? Another a word that is negative in meaning but not in appearance is only. Only is a determiner or adverb which means no more or other than. And finally, we have barely. It is an adverb which means only just. So these adverbs or determiners that we have mentioned, they are treated as negative because of the following three reasons. Number one, they are followed by non-assertive rather than assertive forms. So we learned before that the non-assertive forms are used in negatives, in questions, in conditional clauses. So when you find your sentence having these words followed by non-assertive forms, this means that your sentence is what? Is negative. Number two, when in a pre-subject position, they normally cause subject-operator inversion. So when you put or when you use these words at the beginning of the sentence, you have to apply the rule of subject-operator inversion that we talked about. What does this rule say? It says that when your sentence starts with a negative word, you have to put or make the subject preceded by the operator. This is the rule of subject-operator inversion. For example, rarely have they helped us. So the sentence starts with rarely, and we know that rarely is an adverb that has a negative meaning. Okay, so because we put it at the beginning of the sentence, we have to apply this rule of subject-operator inversion. We put the have as and the operator and followed by the subject they. And number three, they are followed by positive rather than negative tag questions. So I think you know something about the tag questions. When we use them at the end of the sentence, whether they are in structure positive or negative, this depends on what? On the structure of the sentence. Usually they are opposite in this case to the sentence they are attached to. If the sentence is positive, the tag question should be negative. If the sentence is negative, the tag question should be what? Positive. So here, when you are having your sentence, when your sentence has one of these words that we talked about, so because we are going to consider the sentence negative, so the tag question will be what? Positive. For example, she scarcely seems to care. Does she? She scarcely seems to care. Does she? So the tag question does she is positive. Why is it positive and not negative? You have to look at the sentence that precedes it. The sentence that precedes it is negative. It is not negative by using not. No, it is negative but because we use the adverb scarcely. And the scarcely, if you check the note above, it is an adverb that is negative in meaning but not in form. Okay, so not only adverbs and determiners, the adverbs and determiners we talked about, they can have negative meaning and they can affect the structure of the sentences they appear into and make them negative. In fact, there are some words like verbs, adjectives, or prepositions that have negative meaning, or they are negative in meaning, not in form. For example, he denies I ever told him. So the verb deny, okay, in meaning, it is negative, or it has a negative meaning. When you say that something has not happened, or this is not the truth, so you are denying it. So here, the meaning of the verb itself, the meaning that we find it in the dictionary is negative. So this makes the sentence negative, okay, without adding not. This makes the sentence negative in meaning. And since it is negative in meaning, we have to use with it what? A non-assertive form. You see here, he is using with it ever. I forgot to ask for any change. Another verb which is also negative in meaning, which is forget. Okay, so forget is the opposite of remember. When we say remember, it has a positive meaning, but when we say forget, it has a negative meaning. So because the verb forget has a negative meaning, the sentence in which it is used also is negative. That's why we should use in it a non-assertive form. We have also unaware. This is an adjective, which has a negative meaning because of this use of the prefix on. When you know that when we add this prefix to the beginning of a word, it changes into the opposite. Okay, so aware is a positive adjective, while unaware, this is a negative adjective in meaning. Without, again, this is a preposition, and with is a preposition that has a positive meaning, but without is a preposition that has a negative meaning. Against also is a preposition which has a negative meaning. So you have to pay attention to these words also, which are verbs, adjectives, and prepositions that are, again, negative in meaning but not in appearance. So when you use them in any sentence, please pay attention to that you should use with them non-assertive forms, because they are going to change your sentence into negative. Okay, so with this we have finished the second video on negation and the important notes that we have to pay attention when we change our sentences from positive into negative.